Aloha! This CME activity is jointly provided by the Queen's Medical Center and UH-JABSOM Department of Geriatric Medicine. We offer free continuing education for this series. In order to receive a CME or CEU, participants must complete the online evaluation at the end of the webinar. Your comments are very important to the planning committee and will be used to plan future programs. Health professionals, you can now check on your CME credits online. Go to www.queens.org and type CME in the search tool. Click on My CME Transcript, then sign in to generate your transcript. About ECHO. We want to remind everyone that this is an ECHO webinar, which means that this session serves as a forum for mutual teaching and learning from experts and from each of us on the front lines. As the ECHO motto goes, all teach, all learn. So it will take all of you to create this community of learning. In the spirit of aloha, we are on your community of learning. Feel free to eat during this ECHO session. Good nutrition is a key to a healthy lifestyle. A little bit about our format. After a short lecture from our experts, we will share expertise from the rest of the team and then open the time up for case discussions. We invite you to share any geriatric cases. It may even be on a topic not related to the topic of today's lecture. We only ask that you keep it HIPAA compliant case for discussion. That means, please do not share patient's name, birthday, address, and so on. We learn best from our patients. They are the best teachers. Our interdisciplinary team is here as well, and we are all willing to teach and share our collective wisdom with you. Most of you already know me. I am Monette Gaylord, President of Alliance of Residential Care Administrators, ARCA. We have Mary Botan, President of Foster Family Homes Association, Elsa Talavera, President and CEO of All Island Case Management Corporation, May Magnayan, nurse with Lokasi Case Management, Gabrielle Vegalara, inpatient coordinator at Aloha Care, Leila Ventar, health coordination manager from United Healthcare, Kauai County, and Dr. Ritabel Fernandez from University of Hawaii. We are in the first month of our series on mentation. If you are interested in viewing any of those lectures and handouts, you can find them on our website. Unfortunately, we cannot offer certificates of attendance for videos you have viewed. You must participate in our education live. The title of today's webinar is Caregiver Kit. It now gives me great pleasure to introduce our speaker, Tony Vericella. Tony is a founder and CEO of Alzheimer's Caregiving and the Caregivers. He retired as the president of both Island Partners Hawaii and Lux Travel Hawaii, and as SVP of Business Development of MCNA Incorporated. He was born and raised in Newcastle, Pennsylvania, and earned his Bachelor of Science degree in Biology and Chemistry from Purdue University, and then achieved his MBA with concentrations in Marketing and Finance from UCLA. Tony has 40 plus years of extensive leadership experience in all aspects of the travel and tourism industry. His career in Hawaii began with Hawaiian Airlines and evolved to American Express travel-related services, Budget Rent-A-Car Asia Pacific, and the Hawaii Visitors and Convention Bureau. He has served on, or is currently serving on, the boards of several businesses, international travel associations, local community organizations, as well as private educational institutions. Tony and his wife, Dana, who was born and raised in Hawaii, were married on Oahu in 1980 and moved here permanently in 1983. We are so honored to have him speak to us today. Welcome, Tony.
Hello, everyone. Great to be here and happy to be sharing information about a topic that's very close to my heart and our family, and to, I'm sure, many of you, and that's a loved one with Alzheimer's or related dementias. So I hope that this will be eye-opening, thought-provoking, and most importantly, helpful. to any and all of us that are caregivers or that will become caregivers. And I want to thank everybody for allowing me to be here. I know Rita Bell could not attend today, but happy that Dr. Wen is here in her stead. And I think we can start moving forward. I'm going to give you a little sense of why the organization was formed, and then get into what we're trying to accomplish, what we're currently doing, and of course, focus on the Caregiver Kits, which is the title for today. So short video that'll at least give you a little sense of why Alzheimer's caregiving and the caregivers, and then we'll take it from there. So go ahead, John. Thanks.
If you have tried multiple oral antidepressants,
Oh, there we go.
Tony Vericella is the president of Alzheimer's Caregiving and the Caretakers. Tony, we're so happy to have you on the show, as what you do is very important to our local community.
Can you see the video?
Tony, tell us about ACTC.
I'm not sure what was.
We can hear, but
yeah, sorry, let
there's
me
no
start
picture.
it over.
Yeah, I think you need to be in PowerPoint presentation mode, and then if you click on it, it'll happen.
Tony Vericella is the president of Alzheimer's Caregiving and the Caretakers. Tony, we're so happy to have you on the show, as what you do is very important to our local community. For people who don't know, though, Tony, tell us about ACTC, what it is and how it started.
Alzheimer's Caregiving and the Caregivers is really focused twofold. One is to help caregivers in the process of caring for their loved ones who are afflicted with Alzheimer's or dementia. And the other part of it is really to help focus on the caregivers themselves, to help them get through all this and to figure out ways to kind of self-care. We probably all know someone who has been caring for one of their loved ones. What this is really all about is for us to help provide tools and resources that on the one hand help facilitate the caregiving, and on the other hand provide education, information, and support for the caregivers themselves.
And what inspired this whole initiative?
Well, yeah, unfortunately, what inspired it is about 5 years ago, my wife of, at that point, 38 years, was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's. And so, of course, we went through an enormous amount of emotions at that time. Anger, fear, why us? Maybe this is wrong. What can we actually do to get our arms around it? I mean, the only positive thing, I guess, was now that we knew, we could try to deal with it. We didn't realize that the speed with which the regression would occur for my wife was just way faster than we expected. So before we can get our arms around it, every part of daily life was impacted, and it kind of threw us into a frenzy. And we did tons of research, but that's part of the issue. Was there is so much information out there, it's really hard to kind of get to what you need at that time. So one of the benefits, or we hope for benefits, of ACTC is to help other families that are going through this to be able to get to information that's useful to them. The other side of this in terms of the why, I mean, I didn't do it at that point in time, but now that my wife has Alzheimer's, it kind of kicked it into gear, was my mother had Alzheimer's for 14 years. And even though I have two older brothers, and her and my dad would kind of come around to our homes at different months of the year, but it finally got to the point where she was in my oldest brother's house in Georgia, and getting 24/7 care. We all kind of, pitched in, of course, but we didn't want the burden to be on them, so we had caregivers around the clock. But a person that had such a dramatic impact on, beyond us, of course, is my father. He just never could understand, why he couldn't just get her to snap out of it. I mean, every day would sit there for hours trying different things, and it was really that feeling of helplessness and so sad to watch. And I have a deeper appreciation of all that he had gone through, and never realized that this is something that I was going to face, and that there's lots of other people, unfortunately, facing the same thing. So,
but it's good to know that resources and the support that's out there, you're helping to provide.
Yeah, it's it's not something that we're not doing it because want folks to feel bad or feel sorry for us. We're really doing it because we're hopeful that we can help other families get through this.
Now, Tony, if people want to get more information about ACTC, make use and utilize some of the resources that's currently available, what's the best way to do it?
Yeah, the best way is going to be the website, which is alzcaregiving.org. Okay. Yeah, John, we can start moving through the presentation. So as indicated, I mean, obviously, when this was launched, just to give you a sense of timing, it was 2 years ago. So now we just had our 45th wedding anniversary, and my wife is now 7 years into Alzheimer's. We're definitely in the late stages. She hasn't been able to do any activity of daily life for the last 4 to 5 years. We are providing all the care ourselves as a family here on the Big Island, where she originally grew up and her family's home is. Just was better and easier here. She always loved the outdoors and animals and so on. Our grandkids are here, so there's a lot of love and support, but as you all know, it's difficult. But our feeling is that if we can just share the tips, techniques, tools, the positives and negatives, and the whole journey with others, that would, if it could greatly help one other family and one other set of care, perfect. If it helps 100, great. We're there to just help and help get people prepared for what may be occurring, because we're actually taking the journey all the way through, from early onset through the early stages, the mild stages, the moderate stages, and now into the late or more difficult stages. But as we all know, every person that goes through it, the speed of progression is different. Whether their personality gets accentuated during this, or whether it's the opposite of their personality, it's hard to ever predict what's going to happen. But we're just trying to prepare, equip, and provide support to families who are caregiving for loved ones with this debilitating and difficult disease. Next. So what we found, of course, when we were going through it initially, was that there was so much information online and in the web that it was like having no information. So you just couldn't find exactly what you needed, because it may have been immersed in a whole bunch of other sources of information. So it was just overwhelming. So our feeling was we needed to try to, first of all, curate resources, meaning let's go through a whole lot of information and find the things that actually worked or were helpful. And let's share those with others so they're curated. It's not just information that's out there for the sake of it. And at the same time, how do we organize it so that if you're the caregiver or you're part of a caregiving community for a family, how do you find what you need? And we kind of narrowed everything down to basically 4 areas. 2 of them have to do with the caregiving, and 2 have to do with the caregivers. And the 2 with caregiving are, of course, again, tips, techniques, tools, products, anything and everything that we found is going to help you and that worked for us. And then the other side of it is, how do we find things to help engage, stimulate, and amuse your loved one so that they're still in there? And how do you get more joy, out of the experience for them? So two parts of it are on caregiving. On the caregiver side, one part is the whole idea of educating, informing, and updating the caregivers so they can learn what's happening in research out there, and medication, and financial resources and aid, and all the things that they might want to know more detail about. How about the stages of Alzheimer's and how long it may take on average through each stage, and what some of the symptoms of those stages are. So this one section is all about education and inform and updating. And it's got, of course, AARP, Alzheimer's Association, major medical institutions around Hawaii and around the world to help. So that's a third section. And the fourth section is the sources that can help provide hope, comfort, and support to the caregivers themselves, as well as knowledge of how to take care of themselves through this. Because, as we all know, this is mentally, emotionally, and physically demanding and draining. And it's going to cause the caregivers to go through ups and downs and say and do things that they feel guilty about later, but because they're human and they're trying their best. And the caregivers realize that their loved one is trying their best. Their loved one is not trying to give you a hard time. They're having a hard time. And you need to look at the whole relationship with your loved one, not just each instant. And some moments are obviously more difficult than others. In my wife's case, a few years ago, she went through that period of verbally and physically aggressive in anything and everything we were doing. And it's very difficult as a caregiver to sit there and be told things that you wouldn't want to hear from your loved one, and how to get through that and still provide the care and not get angry, not get frustrated. So, it's a difficult time. So the more hope you have, the more support you have, the more breaks you have, the better, right? So all these things collectively are the resources. We decided that creating video segments of 3 to 5 minutes in length would be best, because the caregivers could then focus on something that they needed help with, and they could watch it over and over again. They don't have time to watch a 1-hour program, but they could watch a 3 or 4 minute program. And we did it through High Now Daily. It's all their digital and online media. So lots of exposure. We then have our own, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube channel. We now have about 40 video segments. A lot of them are interview style, like with me, but others are where we brought in other experts to talk about and help through other phases. We can go to the next slide. And like I said, again, these tips, techniques, and tools, it's not just ways to manage caregiving, but it's actual products that we found that are helpful. And as your loved one goes through different stages, these things can really make your caregiving life a bit easier. And that includes adaptive clothing and podcasts, community groups, lots of things that are focused on how to do the caregiving. The whole issue of how you approach your loved one, first and foremost visually, and next through through your words, and hopefully those are few words, short, impactful words, action type words, and then through touch. And you have to do things in that order. It's let them see you first visually, and then you can talk to them presumably by just their name. And their name may not be the name that you called them because you've been married to them for 40 years. It may be their actual name, because that's what's embedded there. So using their name, few words, action words. There's a lot of guiding principles, so to speak, of caregiving that we share. But we can go to the next one. And then these are guiding principles. I mean, these you'll see, they're in the Caregiver Kits as well. And the first thing we did was when we found this, we printed off copies and put it in just about every room in the house. And this wasn't a reminder to our loved one, my wife. This was a reminder to us as caregivers. And no matter what stage that your loved one is in, from the early stages through the latest stages, if you can focus on these, you will have a much more, and I'll even use the word enjoyable, it'll be a better, easier, happier time in a very difficult period of your life and of your loved one's life. So these are the key. These guiding principles, they may seem simple and short and easy. Putting them into practice is the key. Right? We'll go on to the next one. And then there's this other section, products that will engage, stimulate, amuse your loved one. We found, all types of things, fidget blankets, robotic dogs and cats, not expensive robotic dogs and cats, but very inexpensive, but they make sounds just like a dog or a cat. You can pet them. My wife, when we go for rides and all, we'll bring one of the dogs or cats, with us. She gets a lot of comfort from interfacing with them, or the fidget blankets. And there's different types of products depending on the stage of progression that your loved one is in. And these things, they're terrific. I mean, when you see your loved one smiling and joy and comfort from something, it's such a positive thing. And there's plenty of things that you don't need to go and buy in terms of other ways to stimulate and engage your loved one. We all know that depending on what stage you're in, if you can get them moving out in nature, music, I mean, there's so many other methods. And we talk about that on the website. Okay, next. Resources to educate, inform, and update. We keep adding to this list, but you'll see a bunch of things on there. And go to the next one. And then in the educate and inform, the warning, there's warning signs. The next slide is going to talk about, different stages of, we can go to the next one, of Alzheimer's. And typically the length of time in each. One thing to remember, we all know, is your loved one typically isn't, except for the early onset, after that, there's not one stage that your loved one remains in and then all of a sudden moves to the next stage. There are parts of the behaviors that might be in early stage, parts of my wife's behaviors might be in the middle stage, and then as she progressed, now she has a few behaviors that are in the middle stage, and almost all of her behaviors are in late stage. And how long any of these last, these estimates on here are just estimates that various medical institutions have come up with in their studies, but hard to say. My mother had Alzheimer's for 14 years. My wife is now at 7 years. If we weren't providing all of her existence in terms of activities of daily life, of course she wouldn't live for a week, right? Next. And then sources to provide hope, comfort, and support. Like these could be books, Facebook groups and communities. There's a lot of different, ways to find hope, and comfort and support. But what we keep telling all caregivers is you have to take some time to care for yourself. If you don't care for yourself, you cannot care for your loved one. And the more tired you get, the more frustrated. I myself hurt my back taking care of my wife, and in April of this year, I had to get back surgery as a result. So I can't move her by myself any longer. It has to be more than one of us moving her at the same time. But it's you need time, and that's why you need a caregiving community around you that can give you a break for a few minutes, a few hours, maybe a day or two. I'm very lucky. The children and family pitch in so that once a month, for about 5 days a month, I have an opportunity to either go to another island or to go on a mainland trip, but to actually not be here for that period of time. And at first you may think that's awfully selfish of yourself, that why am I doing that? And I'm escaping and getting away from it. And it's critically important. You got to take care of yourself mentally, physically, and emotionally. Next. These messages of hope, we have lots of them, but the only one I'll mention at this point is the very last one on this list. To the world, you may just be just one person, but to one person, you may be the world. All of you as caregivers, if you're the primary caregiver or just helping, you are the world to your loved one. And you are helping them try to remember that they're in there, to remember to treat them with respect and dignity, and because none of us know what's really going on inside the brain that's impacted by this disease. Next. So how this evolved is, so 2 years ago when we started this, I will mention that I decided to start this in September of 2023, and it was specifically September 21st, 2023, because that was our wedding anniversary. When I first planned it a year prior to that, I didn't realize that September 21st is World Alzheimer's Day, and September is World Alzheimer's Month. And Tony, who runs the Hawaii Dementia Initiative, she's the statewide coordinator. It's actually her wedding anniversary as well. So there's all these ironic connections. But we started it 2 years ago, and we kept getting, and still get feedback from lots of people, which is terrific because it helps us to add more things into the website, to try new ways of reaching people. And one of the things that came to us was a lot of the caregivers, even though some of them could go online and do things in that way, they really wanted something physically that they could hold on to, or they could put on their wall in their house, or have on their table and refer to. So they encouraged us to create physical caregiver kits, and of course also electronic versions of these where people could fill out. So we created these during the summer, and we just launched it again last month, September. We've already given out several hundred of them. You can go to the next slide. So the Caregiver Kit looks like that. Inside the very first page is this summary page. And again, it says, hey, we're trying to help you on your journey, and we're going to share with you ours. And it's the 4 sections that we just went through. We also remind them there's videos, and those are on a YouTube channel and all. And then you can go to the next one, John. Thanks. The first thing we tell them is we are all part of this Hawaii Dementia Initiative, which is a statewide effort to have a holistic, integrated approach to helping people find the resources they need. Hawaii Dementia Initiative now has one website, and there's a whole series of resources connected, and many community organizations throughout the state, including ours, that are active participants in helping. We help them also design 2 things. I am here stickers and a Dementia Champion pin, because part of the awareness campaign in the market already starting in Hawaii in August was to let people know that they're going to start seeing these. And in the kit, by the way, is, I don't know if you can see this, but these are those I am here stickers. And the idea is you just take a sticker off and you put it on a hat, on a sweater, on the clothing of your loved one. And it's a reminder to others in the community when you're taking your loved one out that your loved one is there, they're in there, and that they need to be treated with love and empathy and respect and care. And then the pin, the Dementia Champion pin that we help them design as well, they're using, that's for any and all of us that are caregivers or people in banks and grocery stores, wherever, as they get trained and more aware of how to help with a person that's in their facility. The idea is to get more and more folks out there wearing these pins, so that if you took your loved one to the grocery store and you saw one of the people working there and had a pin on, you would know right away that that person gets it and they would help you. So the idea is to build it up, over time. There's also, next slide, there's also these, oh, sorry, you can go back one, because I forgot that I didn't go all the way through there. Or actually, if you go back a few, John, yeah, keep going. So we'll just go back to the slide that has the Caregiver Kit summary. Yeah, right there. So in each section, the 10 guiding principles we give in the kit, there are 3 of those. They're on a laminated type paper, so that you could put one in the bedroom, in the kitchen, in the living room. Again, it's a reminder to you as a caregiver. And then all the other lists are just like you saw on the website, that they're in print form, so they'll help people. The warning signs are there, the stages of Alzheimer's, medical and legal documents. As we all know, in the early stages, you want to, with your loved one, get the advanced healthcare directive taken care of. You want to get a power of attorney for financial and legal matters. These are things that, if you can do it in the early stages, it is way easier than later on, because of the fact that your loved one can't share anything about what they want to do. So all these pieces we have out there, and we put them all together in this kit, and we mail it. How we've been distributing it locally, in addition to people signing up for it, is a lot of community organizations have workshops or sessions where they might have caregivers in attendance. And so those organizations will contact me and say, we're having a session next week. We need 30 caregiver kits because we're having about that number in attendance. And then we provide those. They fill out some information that we can use to update a whole database as to how we're spreading these out throughout the state, island by island, in every community. I'm meeting also with a Hawaiian language group as to the possibility of getting the caregiver kits and the materials in them translated into Hawaiian, and then distributed in various communities where the language is still spoken actively, and especially in the care of seniors. That is, we're trying to do it in a way that's going to make it easier for them to understand, for the caregivers to understand and help share with their loved ones there. We haven't looked at other languages yet, but we're going to start with a translation into Hawaiian first. So that's kind of how we came into being. That's our mission, is to help as many people as we can. We're also putting an electronic caregiver kit online so that we can reach people beyond Hawaii as well, or even people around the state who just want to go online and print off their own version of this kit. They can. The only thing that they won't get is the stickers won't be like on a sticker, so they'll have to do that a little differently. And the pin obviously wouldn't be in the electronic version. Also, the Alzheimer's Association gave us a refrigerator magnet that we include in here that is the 24/7 hotline for for Alzheimer's and dementia. So, in the physical kit, obviously we can put a few things in there that are a little different than if you printed the electronic one. But electronically, we can reach a lot more people throughout the state and beyond the state. I hope certainly open to any and all questions, ideas, and feedback. We're always trying to get feedback from folks and learn how to keep evolving and how to make things better. But this is our focus and our mission.
Hey, Tony, my name is Gabe. I'm the chat facilitator here for Echo. I have a quick question. So, what are the, I guess, most common patterns that caregivers can see in themselves where they have to tell themselves, all right, it seems like I'm hitting my limit now and I need to take a breather or take some time?
Well, I would say, when that is see, how we interface with our loved one makes a huge difference. I mean, without words, our facial expressions, if we're calm and happy and smiling and laughing, if we approach them in a straight, gentle way, if we use few words, discussions, and then if we approach them first visually and then in words and then touch, if you do things in this way and you follow those guiding principles, like I said, it'll be a lot easier. But what happens is any of us that are caregivers are busy maybe doing a lot of other things, and maybe we're working part of the time or all the time, and then our shift is at night or whatever. We're tired and we're in a hurry. We need to help them with activities of daily life, which may include getting them to the bathroom and changing them and bathing them and preparing their food. And you get frustrated and kind of angry because they're not responding the way you want. They don't fit your time schedule at that point. That's when things go haywire. If you're in a hurry and you try to do caregiving at that time, that you figure, oh, I only have a few minutes to get this done, it'll take you way longer than a few minutes. And depending on what stage your loved one's in, you may get yelled, screamed, hollered at, hit, punched, kicked, scratched. In our case, we've been through all of that. And then that may make you angrier.
I see.
And when these things start happening, you really need to stop yourself, take a deep breath, walk out of the room for a moment or whatever. I mean, it's you'll know when you are mentally exhausted. But you have to reflect the energy that you're hoping they'll absorb, from you.
I see. Okay. And back to the I saw that there was like the blanket that helps with stimulation.
Yes.
Is that fairly common? A lot of overstimulation with Alzheimer's, hence the mood swings and all the other things that can happen.
We haven't experienced the overstimulation portion as much as I think the opposite would be more difficult, and that is if you're not providing any engagement, amusement, things that they can touch and feel and manipulate. I think if you don't do that, then they're going to fall deeper into almost like a depression or depressive type state. So I think, it's a fine line, but I think we have not experienced an overstimulation at all. But I mean, we use those things. We use music a lot. Like I said, the robotic dogs and cats, and these fidget blankets are fun, even for the rest of us, I think. but you'd be amazed at how it helps them. And then because and think about what your loved one always liked. You know, my loved one always, she liked animals, the outdoors, gardening, crafts. So in the early stages, we tried to keep all those things active. And as time went on, she could do less of that. No, and she also was a great, cook, and baker, and she worked full time and ran a company. I mean, she was a pretty active, person until the age of 65, and that's when she started, right? So yeah, I don't think there's an overstimulation thing. I think a lot of reason why, sometimes people use things like the fidget blankets and the dogs and all that anyway is because they may need to do some other stuff that they're working, or they have other people in the household that take care of, or they have kids or grandkids. And so I think people are using it much like parents these days use for young children, where iPads and phones and computers, and oh, that's kind of the babysitter, so to speak. I think that's a reality not many caregivers maybe want to talk about, but that's true, right? They do that.
Makes sense. Thank you so much, Tony.
Sure.
Hi, may I make a comment?
Yes, doctor.
Yeah, I just want to say, as a geriatrician, and people, this, and I see caregivers, and I really, this is exactly the stuff I tell them. I just thought I'll also comment that, definitely, they're very stimulus bound, so it's the environment that is really, really important. You have to be very aware of the
Sure.
environment, whether it's overstimulation or understimulation, and it really can make a huge difference in their behavior. So managing behaviors depends a large part on the environment and the approach. And if you can manage those without drugs, then we will not give drugs. I
Yeah.
hate giving medicines because they all medicines have side effects, and
Absolutely.
sedation, sleepiness is one of them, and that's not quality of life at all.
Yeah, we tried a lot of the medical route in terms of even drugs that were specifically for Alzheimer's dementia patients, and we ultimately took her off of all those and used a lot of natural supplements and diet, exercise, and natural supplements. And to your point about the overstimulation, I agree on the environment piece. The only time overstimulation, and back to Gabe's point, that has come into play is when we've taken my wife to a different environment where we're not able to control, and maybe it's loud music or lots of people and lots of conversations are happening. And yes, we've noticed that she certainly appears to be agitated in that environment. But in our home environment, we're keeping it filled with pictures and music and plants and crafts, things that we knew that she loved, and we're hoping it may provide benefit if she sees it again.
Absolutely. So all of these activities will provide quality of life, which is what you're after. Medicines won't.
And quality of life for the caregiver
as well.
Caregivers as well as the loved one.
Thank you.
Sure.
Tony, can you tell us some of the natural remedies that you are using, and what the actual symptoms that you had seen to treat?
Well, one of the very first things we did is because, as you know, our loved one can't tell us how she's feeling. So you have to be the eyes and ears and hands-on as to, does she have a fever? Does she have a sore throat? Is her shoulder hurt? Does she have a hard time going to the bathroom? Or is it burn when she's going to the bathroom? So you have to be aware of anything and everything, any symptom. So to be alert on her physically, and even in terms of when she's eating or when she's going to the bathroom. And so one of the things we knew we had to guard against, because she can't do any of those activities herself in terms of the bathroom, especially, is potential UTIs. So we started early on with doing cranberry gummies and that sort of thing every single day. She can't take medication in pill form, so it has to either be in a gummy form or in a liquid form. And that goes with any and all medication, any and all supplements. The other thing is, we got to the point where you couldn't do anything with her teeth. Couldn't brush her teeth, couldn't use mouthwash, couldn't floss, couldn't do any of that. So we then had to find, the only thing we can find that she can chew are xylitol mints, because they're really good for your teeth. And you give her 2 of these 3 or 4 times a day, preferably after, meals. That's greatly helped. The other thing is, we finally found a holistic dentist here on the Big Island who actually was willing to try to have us bring her in as a patient every 4 months, and we work together as a family and with the doctor, the dentist, and the dentist staff, and we have our own method now. How do we get her in the chair, and how do we, kind of joke around, play around, whatever it takes to actually be able to get her mouth open so he can actually work on her, and that's been a big, help. But what we certainly have found over these years is, good, bad, or otherwise, there are a lot of people in the medical profession, at any and all levels, from doctors to assistants to technicians to dentists and so on, that I find have not had a lot of experience or understanding as to how to actually interface with a person that has Alzheimer's or dementia, and or to interface with the caregivers of that loved one. And so in many cases, we're doing our best to try to help open that avenue, to help educate with any and all of the medical practitioners that we're dealing with. Just like this excellent holistic dentist who had never had a patient that had Alzheimer's or dementia, but he's been outstanding. And so, we're always, I think, those of us that are caregivers, and many of you that have experience either in the medical profession, in the geriatric side or not, we have to not assume that just because somebody is in a particular line of work that they have experience with Alzheimer's and dementia patients. Very
Thank you,
good.
Tony.
Thank you. Hi.
I see a
Don't be
question in
shy.
the
Looks
chat.
like
Any other
there's
questions?
a question here from Renata. How does a very simple environment affect someone with Alzheimer's?
I don't think a very simple environment is going to have a negative effect, except for, let's talk about the kind of the under stimulation, the ability to engage, stimulate, and amuse your loved one will come from the interface of the caregiving community. Maybe you have one person doing it, or maybe there's others that come in and help. How you interface and that relationship you're building with your loved one, that's the most critical part. In terms of the physical environment around the person, we find that if we enter certain things like music, things that are kind of easier to do, TV, if there is TV, we find certain channels and certain types of programming that we have found are something that attracts her attention, and she, in this case, my wife, feels drawn to, whereas lots of other programming won't. So we're not out there with movies of all types and lots of action and violence and so on. the Hallmark Channel is a pretty good example of a channel that consistently, day and night, is a good channel to tune into. They also have a lot of advertisers that are advertising taking care of animals and kids and so on, and that also draws her attention. So, I think music, if you have TV, can do that. Anything else in the environment, again, soothing and comforting is better than bright. So if you're going to have a color scheme of all, we try to go the route of calming colors, not bright, loud colors. So we stay away from the reds and all, and we get more into the lavenders and the pinks and the soft blues and those type of things. Even the type of glasses that we use for her to drink from, and dishes and utensils, and everything. We try to find things that are going to work, first of all, in the process. Because remember, we're now doing everything for her. Her ability to, take her own liquids or feed herself or anything, walk, to stand up out of a chair or sit down, go to the bathroom or not, change her clothes. All those activities of daily life that's gone like 5 years ago already. So, you have to think about what are the different things I'm going to do with them. And if I can keep calm environments, the better. Your facial expressions, your voice, all these things around her, don't agitate, I would say. And most of it, I think you'll learn, or it'll come as, common sense maybe after a little while. But that's why we're there, to try to help say there's other paths that you can learn from these, so you don't have to go through the whole learning process.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Sorry, I keep on needing to chime in, but I just want to say also, I mean, scientifically speaking, I mean, you're saying what our studies are saying. Studies show that gentle sensory stimulation are the most effective tools for behavior management.
Right.
And so
Right, and
that's what you're finding in real practical life.
Yeah, in every stage, I think the three things that you have to do with your loved one, and in this order, is first the visual. Let them see you. This is the whole idea of, it sounds simple, but how you approach them. It has to be straight on, and so they see you. And then what you use in terms of words, again, use their name, use action words. You don't need sentences and paragraphs. That's not going to happen. Simple words. So first it's visual, next is the verbal or the hearing side of them, and the next is touch. So you approach them first, they see you may say something to them, and then you may hold their hand or give them a hug or whatever. That's always that's going to help you 1,000% every single time, regardless of what you're trying to do with them. You may literally just be trying to hug them, or you may want to get close to them so you can then go to the next step, is you're going to try to move them to the bathroom, or get them something to eat. I mean, whatever the case may be. And always allow them to be in control. So if you're putting your hand in their hand, put your hand under their hand. I mean, these sound like simple things, but they are really important. A need to allow them to feel needed and in control. Right? Anyway. Yeah, and take a deep breath. Remember, you are doing your absolute best. You, the caregivers, you are the heroes. It's kind of a higher calling in terms of life's work, and whether you're a family member, an educator, a technician, or a caregiver in a home, however, whatever brought you to it, you're really doing special, meaningful things. And they understand you and they appreciate what you're doing, and they may never be able to tell you that. But you're going to get a smile here and there, and you'll, like the grandkids, our grandkids are young, but they really understand what's going on with their Nona, and they go up and hug her and kiss her and help give her their supplements. They'll help give her water, and they're 5 and 7 right now. But you can see her whole demeanor relax, and you can see her smile, and they know that they're helping. And those smiles, a few seconds here and there, that'll help get you, the caregivers, through the day. Really.
Thank you, Tony, for that presentation. Thank you, everyone, for being here. So if there are no more questions, we can cover the evaluation. So this is the thank you, mentation evaluation. Again, please complete this evaluation. If you have more than one resident in your home, start with the resident that you admitted first, or the resident that lived in your home the longest. So resident 1, you're going to mark the years that resident has been in your home, and then you're going to answer those 4 questions, A, B, C, D. And then if you have a resident, second resident, do the same thing for your second resident, and then so on if you have more than 2. Again, in order to receive a certificate of attendance or CME for our licensed folks, please complete the evaluation. The link to the evaluation is in the chat. Feel free to click that now so that it will take you there. For certificate of attendance, click the certificate of attendance choice near the bottom after you enter the evaluation. It will go to your email. So please check your spam folder if you don't see it. And again, the evaluation must be filled out again for each person in your group. So you can't have one certificate for if you have more than one person attending this. So 1 per person. Thank you so much, everyone, and for all that you do in caregiving, for being a caregivers for your loved ones and for our clients. We appreciate you so much. And thank you for being here. And thank you, Dr. Wen. It's been a long time since we've seen you. Thank you for being
coming here. Thank you. Bye.
Wow.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. Thank you very much.